The decision to have the National Independence Parade in the night for 2024 came from the members of the National Independence Committee. We put together a full document looking at what are the pros, what are the cons, what would this be like, how can this have an impact, because we wanted to make it different. We wanted to do something different. So then we started to look at what are some elements, what are some things that we can do in the night that will create a wow factor, that will create a spectacle, that will create an impact. The reception from the public was unbelievable. The police estimate was about 18 to 20,000 people in Victoria Park. But that was one of the major accomplishment for us, that Vincentians still felt good about coming to the parade, about coming to see culture, about coming to see St. Vincent and the Grenadines on display. Of course, with every single production that I am responsible for, I am leading, I tend to do a lot of research. The night parade itself generated some conversations, not just for the general public in terms of the change in time, but a lot of historians, a lot of persons who were actually around when the 1979 night parade happened. And what I did, I reached out to them, each of them, and I asked what was special about it. Each of them explained or described that moment to be joyful, that moment to be happy in 1979. And as a creative director, I basically was going for a feel and not so much the visual. I mean, I don't think you could separate the two things. I mean, visually, once it looks good, you're gonna feel good, right? But it was mainly to allow Vincentians to leave Victoria Park or leave the parade feeling good about themselves. The cultural aspect of it was called One Nation, Many Voices. And when I say voices, I don't mean what you're hearing now. I mean the artists, the creative, there are voices, they have expressions. And I mean, we highlighted our traditional cultural heritage, but we did not want to make it feel like, oh, we're coming from a place of how long ago and it is sad and it is so sorrow. And no, we want it to be happy. We want it to be joyful. We want it to be stinging. We want it to be energetic. And the dancers did that, and you want to big up the dancers. I mean, all the dancers from the different dance group, you know what I mean? Want to big them up, want to big up Juanita Phillips and Kia Henry. One of the things that came on the table from members of the Independence Committee was why we don't investigate doing a drone show. And I was like, wow, a drone show. A drone show is super expensive, because I had just did one in Guyana with another production that I was working on. Based off of the research and the information I got from some of the historians or some of the persons who were a part of the 1979 night parade, I mainly, Mr. Michael Peters, said to me back then the police officers used batons. And what they did was they put lights on the batons. And I said, that is it. That is it. That is it. I remember utilizing some lights, some body lights, a couple of years ago, and some fairy lights. And I said, let's make the police officers the drone. We're going to put these lights on the firearm to signify what happened in 1979 with the batons, but just mean in a more modernized way. We needed more than just that, because then we're living in a world of technology. And for the night parade, a lot of the lighting would have been in the air because of the floodlights. So again, from a creative standpoint, we wanted to create some atmosphere on the floor, on the ground. So quickly, I look at a design that could have been done for the floor, utilizing a lot of moving heads, a lot of rolling heads, that type of lights. And right away, I call Mr. Vaughn Mills, who is the owner of Dynamic Sounds, who provides a lot of lighting, and his lighting technician, Mr. Timran Guide, and we have to big him up. He was the one responsible for the lighting work that you saw in Victoria Park. So there was a lot of pyrotechnics, there was a lot of lighting, there were a lot of, as I said, formation from the police, and there were a lot of different elements that we are now utilizing. It takes a lot to really make sure that things run smoothly on show day or on production day. And as the person who is charged with managing the production, and I will tell you this, managing a production is not a one-man thing. Could never be a one-man thing. We had multiple meetings. I mean, I want to personally big up all the media houses all the persons who were in that department of media, of camera, of broadcast, of everything. I mean, VC3, NBC Radio, API, all those persons, I mean, led by Antonio and Zoro and Beck. I mean, it was just a good feeling to see that they wanted to understand the mission. They were there at every single rehearsal. And I think the reason for that is that I explained to everybody that it was mainly about the feel and not so much the look. We wanted to play on the heartstrings. We wanted to play on the emotions of our Vincentian public and those who were looking on from any part of the world. I mean, I think we were able to successfully do that. I remember having a meeting 9 a.m. on the day of independence. And every single person who was supposed to be at the meeting showed up. Pulling this production together was all about conversation. I've worked on productions before where we got full dress rehearsal running from top to bottom. I mean, doing it multiple times. We didn't get that because of the rain. So we have to appreciate and we have to give a lot of love and respect to all the persons who worked on this production. From the carpenters, from the set designers, from the media, from the lighting, from the engineers, from the audio engineer, from the committee, from the dancers, from the artists, from the band, from the cleaners, the persons who did the decor. We have to appreciate them. We have to big them up because, as I said, everything for this production was done based on conversation. I actually called this show on the fly, something that we say in production where we didn't get to really have a full dress rehearsal. So every call was done on the day of the show. We had radios, we had walkie-talkies, we have intercom system, whatever you want to call it. And we were sharing. And if you know how Victoria Park is set up, everybody is not in one space. So we were actually depending on the communication between each other. And that 9 a.m. meeting did it for all of us. A lot of people would see events, they would see productions, and we don't understand the amount of work and what it takes to execute and deliver something of this magnitude. It was not easy. It's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of things where you have to manage personalities, you have to manage egos, you have to manage the different ideas, you have to be able to balance and look at when should we go and when we should not go, what is workable, what is not workable. And you also have to be able to be open-minded and accept critiques, accept other person's ideas and be able to pull the entire team together. And that is what wins on the day of independence. The team effort, the collective effort, being able to come together as one and know that we all can exist in the same space. So it was always amazing to work with different people. It's always amazing to hear other people's ideas. It's always amazing to appreciate other people's creative expression and being able to have that level of respect for each other. And I mean, putting something like this in my hand as one of the leading person, not the only person, I want to stress that I cannot sit here and take credit for everything that happened, but I also have to big up all of the persons who were involved in this production, everybody who was involved in the entire independence celebration. And I think the parade was just the icing on the cake. And this is just a testimony of what we can do if we come together. I mean, there's a cliche saying that no man is an island and no man stand alone. So coming together is the right thing that we need to do as Vincentian to reap great rewards and success.
So take the green light, spotlight, video light. It's your time to shine, darling. Just shine, darling. So take the front line and do it for spite. It's your time to shine, darling. Every man ballin', woman, you're spectacular. Tell me how you matter, to tell you I had to. Woman, you're spectacular. Tell me how you matter, to tell you